Hey guys, Chris Peach here, and welcome to the Money Peach podcast. Hey, do you remember growing up learning how to handle money? Yeah, neither do I. So that's why we're here today, to make your money fun again. You know, we're going to talk about the principles in life that actually matter when it comes to managing your money in a way that works. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Money Peach podcast. Before we jump into another amazing episode of the Money Peach podcast, I want to take a second to talk to you guys about my free live training event, Stop Living Paycheck to Paycheck and Just Live. Join me each week on this live webinar where I show you the 4-step system we use to go from living paycheck to paycheck to later paying off $52,000 in debt in only 7 months. And as a bonus for joining me on this live training, I'll be answering any questions you may have during the live Q&A session at the end. So head on over to moneypeach.com/webinar to get registered. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Money Peach podcast. I'm Chris Peach. This is episode 48. Now, my guest on the show today is Monica Louie. Now, I actually hired Monica a few weeks ago to help me with my Facebook ads campaigns. So I'm running Facebook ads now on my business, and I needed an expert to show me exactly how to do it as my coach. Now, as we got to talking, I realized she is not only a Facebook ads expert, she's a successful entrepreneur, and she has an incredible debt freedom story where she paid off $120,000 in only 2 years. And as a bonus for being a listener on this show, she's throwing in a free cheat sheet PDF on how to get started with your own Facebook ads today for your business. So without further ado, let me bring on my good friend, my coach, my Facebook ads mentor, Monica Louie. Alrighty, Monica, thank you so much for coming on the Money Peach podcast. You and I were talking the other day, and you were actually on a little mini road trip, and you told me that you had digested about 6 episodes of the podcast, and you're a big fan. So I said, well, why don't we have you on the show, because you have an incredible story. We're going to jump into that and jump into your business that you're doing, because I think that's important to mention as well. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
First of all, Monica Louie, is that your real name? Because that is like a movie star name.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That is my real name. It's my married name.
I mean, when I first heard, I'm like, Monica Louie, that sounds like something you see on television. I'm like, or like in a band, you know, like, what are you listening to? I'm listening to Monica Louie. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So when I heard that name, I was like, that is a cool name. I wish I had a cool name like that. People sometimes think I'm a girl because my name's Peach. And so I've been dealing with that for a while, but Monica Louie. So Monica Louie, tell us a little bit about you. Like, we'll get into what you're doing, but kind of give me a little background on how you got started from where you were maybe a few years ago to today.
Sure. Well, first of all, I am married. I have 2 kids. My son is almost 6 and my daughter's 3.5. My husband and I have been married for nearly 9 years now. So my story really starts with, growing up, I was daughter of a single mom, so money was always tight. I just always knew it was paycheck to paycheck growing up, and I knew that I wanted my life to be different. I knew I wanted to have a family someday, and I wanted to make enough money where I didn't have to worry about money. But I started going down the same path that my mom went down, with getting deep in credit card debt in college. Came out of college with student loans, and just wasn't making as much money as I thought I would after college. And so there was really a struggle there. It was just very hard to make ends meet getting started in my adult life that I thought, I'd pictured for so long being so completely differently. So I ended up in my 20s getting out of credit card debt, but the student loan debt I didn't tackle because it just felt like a huge number. I thought, I'm clear of credit cards. I'm never going to put myself in that situation again. And then when I met my husband, he was a big saver. He had money in the bank, which was brand new to me. It was a new concept that people could actually have some savings built up. He didn't carry credit card debt. He had a car loan. He had a student loan, but he was big into focusing on building savings. So I kind of learned from him that if you make savings a priority, that you can save. So then once we got married, we knew that we were going to have to pay for our wedding. So that's when I made savings a priority and realized that, oh my gosh, if I focus on this, I actually can save up money. So we ended up getting married. At the same time that we got married, that was 2009. And so the housing market, There were a lot of short sales all around. And so we got an awesome deal on a big 6-bedroom house. So it was just like, we couldn't believe that we could get this much house for that little. And by that time, I had rebuilt my credit from my early credit card days. So we got our loan and we bought our house. So that's why I started life. I mean, by that point, we were making decent money, still middle class, but decent income. We had some savings because my husband had those good savings habits that then I started to adopt. But then when we started to plan for having kids, I realized that I wanted to stay home with my kids. I wanted to have the flexibility of, and control over my schedule. But we looked at our budget and we didn't know how we were going to make it work. By that time, we wanted to buy a reliable family car. And we're like, man, if we make a payment on a car, then how are we going to, live on one income? And so we started to make that a priority, but it was an adjustment period. So I ended up working full-time at first when my son was born, and then a few months later I went to part-time and did that for a year. So that helped us transition. And when I did part-time for a year, then by that time, my husband had gotten a promotion at work. We had paid off the car that we did buy before my son was born, and we were able to, the numbers aligned. We had built up some savings by that point. We broke it down like, okay, looking at how much money he's making, we know we can cover our expenses, but we knew we had to be careful. And really, our debt-free story started a couple months into me staying home completely. We just realized we were starting to dip into our savings, and we didn't like where that was going. By that time, I was pregnant with my daughter. I felt like because I wanted to stay home so badly, I felt like it was on me to figure it out how I could continue to stay home without having to go back to work right when I was about to have a newborn. So that's when I dug into personal finance and heard all these success stories about people getting out of debt. And that's when we decided to not only just stay above water with our finances, but to get rid of the debt completely.
Okay, so going back what you said, you grew up single mom, and so it sounds like, I always say to people, more is caught than taught in anything you do. And so with your kids especially, you don't have to intentionally teach your kids bad money habits. They're going to pick them up by just watching you. I think I learned a lot of things that maybe I did wrong, not necessarily because my parents were terrible with money. They weren't. They were actually really good with money. But, I saw dad swipe a credit card. So the first thing I did when I was 18 is I swiped a credit card, and I kind of went down that path. Is that kind of how you feel that you started, was just, living paycheck to paycheck growing up? Your mom was a single mom working her butt off. But do you feel like a lot of those habits early on were just developed from what you saw growing up?
Yes and no. I mean, so definitely like growing up, my mom, the way that we kind of got through was if there was room on the credit card, then that meant that we could have what we wanted or what we needed. We would go grocery shopping the night before payday so she could write a check so it would clear after the payment hit her account. So it was very much paycheck to paycheck. But I also saw the stress that money caused her, and I knew that I wanted something different for my life. But I think you're right, like more is caught than taught, that I started going down that path because that's what I grew up with, that's what I knew. But when I got my first credit card, I told myself, this is only for emergencies. This is only for emergencies. But in college, the emergency then became, well, my friends want to go out to eat. I don't have any money in the bank, so I've got this credit card. And then that added up much quicker than I anticipated. So I just started developing that habit for myself and relying on the credit cards to get by. So I knew that I didn't want to continue that for my family. I didn't want my kids, my future kids at that time, to have that money stress going up. So I knew I had to get control of the credit card debt back then.
What did your mom do for work, if you don't mind me asking?
She worked for the state. I grew up in Oregon, so she worked for the state of Oregon. She worked there 25 plus years by the time she retired. And she also did do other like part-time jobs growing up to bring in some extra income, just like a few times a month, some bookkeeping and things on the side. So I always saw her working. I mean, she was a very hard worker, but I knew that I just wanted life to be different for my family and for myself.
Did she do anything as far as being an entrepreneur, or was she always working at a place of business or working for someone else?
she was always working for someone else. I would ask her because I knew that money was an issue. So I would ask her why she, didn't put in for a promotion to try and make more money. And she just said that, moving up would create more stress, and she already had enough stress. So sure. I think she felt stuck. She didn't feel like there was much she could do to bring in extra income besides doing the bookkeeping, part-time. But she just felt like that was her situation and she was stuck. She was doing the best that she could.
The reason why I'm asking you all these questions is I'm sitting here and I'm thinking in my mind, trying to go back, thinking about how my parents, as far as work ethic. And that's one thing, like you had just said, is I remember my parents, they still to this day work a crazy amount because that's what they know. They love working. They love what they do. They work. And so I passively, without even realizing, I think I developed a little bit of that. Sometimes I can be in my office or, I could be out and about doing stuff and I look at the clock and I'm like, I haven't even eaten lunch yet. What's going on? It's funny how, and I know you because we've worked together, is you take massive amounts of action. You are an extremely hard worker. And so, this was learned from somewhere. And now I know it's, learned from your mom. And many of us are sitting here, we're listening to this podcast right now. We're thinking, yeah, I guess that's right. My mom was this or my dad was this. A couple episodes ago, we had Joshua Smith on the podcast, and he talked about how his mom, is working, single mom as well, working 3 or 4 different jobs at all times. And this guy takes crazy amounts of, he has work ethic to the max. And it's, he relates it all back to what he learned from mom and dad. And I think your kids, from just what I know about you and working with you, is, obviously they're seeing mom and dad do the same thing. So as far as taking action, I don't think that's difficult for you at all. I think you do it quite well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I've always had a strong work ethic, like even in college and high school. I started working in high school as much as I could. And then in college, I had like 2 or 3 jobs just to try and make ends meet for myself. What was interesting though is when I was listening to one of your past guests on the podcast, how she worked through college and came out of college with savings. I was listening to that with a very, it changed my perspective, because my perspective in college was I'm working as much as I can to make as much as I can to stay above water. And it's interesting that she worked as much as she could to come out with savings. And so I wonder if my mindset had been different, if I could have also, avoided the credit card debt. I'm sure I could have avoided the credit card debt, but also, started on a different financial footing than I did when I left college.
Yeah, and going back to that episode, that's Dana. I forget which number that was, but we'll put links in the show notes. But anyway, Dana learned all of that from her parents. It was just extreme saving.
True.
So you paid off a ridiculous amount of debt. It's ridiculous how much debt you paid off. Can we just talk about that? Can we go right into that? Because I think it's amazing. So go ahead. You told me and my jaw dropped. So let us all know, how much debt did you pay off?
So in 2 years, so this is from the time that I started staying home and we decided that, oh my gosh, we've got to be more intentional with our money. And then we made the big decision to pay off all of our debt. We paid off in 2 years, from August 2013 to August 2015, $120,000 on a single middle-class income.
So 2 years?
2 years.
Okay, how do you do that? That just blows my mind. How does that happen?
We made this big goal when we started listening to success stories about other people who have paid off lots of debt in a short amount of time. We heard a story of a family similar to ours. I think they had a couple of young kids, single income, and they paid off all of their debt, including their mortgage, in 10 years. And so with a little competitive streak in me, I said, well, if they can do it in 10 years, then we can do it in 8 years. And at that time, my husband and I were both 32. So I'm like, we are going to be completely debt-free by the time we turn 40. My husband, being the saver, once I told him my great idea, he totally jumped on board. He was all for it. So we didn't even stop to think about, is that realistic for our income? How much would that mean per year? Like, we didn't break it down. We just knew if other people could do it, then so could we. And so we decided, in order to build momentum on this huge, massive goal, we need to start paying off debt really, really fast. So what we did is, to get started, is I mean, first of all, we created a budget so that we knew exactly, we had an idea before when we were trying to run the numbers of could we survive on a single income. But this time we created a super detailed budget, and I love numbers and spreadsheets. So I took that on, tracking our spending. But then on the other side, so we were watching, every dollar that was going out to see like, where can we save money? Can we cut our grocery budget? Can we stop going out to eat or stop going out to eat as much? And, where can we save money just on every little thing? We're like, what service can we cut? But then we also knew like that was only going to get us so far. So we knew we needed to bring in extra income. So in August of 2013, we had a garage sale where we made $1,600 in a weekend. We sold my husband's car that was like his dream car when he bought it right out of college. But we sold it, bought a cheaper car. We did keep our family car that we had bought because we knew that was reliable and it was paid off. So we didn't really want to sell that. But we just went through the house and found everything that we could possibly sell. And if it didn't sell in the garage sale, we put it on Craigslist. And so my husband was all on top of selling everything we could on Craigslist and OfferUp, which is a great app for selling things that's similar to Craigslist. So we just sold as much as we could. My husband also started working overtime as much as he could. He was working overtime before, but at this point we were committed. And so he started to just work as much overtime as he could. And so much so that after my daughter was born, she was about 4 months old, this opportunity for him to travel to another state for work came up. So he was going to be gone for 45 days, but there was this massive overtime opportunity there. So he ended up working double shifts. So in that time, it was a big sacrifice for our family with a baby and a 2-year-old for, me to just be home alone with the kids. But we felt like, we had made a commitment to this goal that we had to jump on this opportunity because we knew that we were going to be able to increase our income, that we could throw it all toward the debt.
There's a couple things that they popped in my mind as you were talking. So I'm a big fan of the saying that money leaves those who don't know how to handle it and it goes to those who do. Meaning there's so many times I've seen people get amazing opportunities when they start handling money the right way. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, you have a 2-year-old, you have a newborn, you're going to be home alone for 45 days and your husband is going to literally work double shifts. Was it 45 days?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he worked 45 days and then came back on a Wednesday. So he finished out the week. He worked 47 days straight without taking a day off.
Okay, so 47 days without taking a day off. No one does this, right? They say the average, what was I reading the other day, that the average American works 40 hours a week, right? No. Mm-hmm. They work about 23 hours a week, right? 40 hours a week is what they get paid for, but the actual work they're doing is 23 hours. And so your husband works 47 days straight. So when people are hearing your story, they're like, oh, Monica Louie, I had to say that name, Monica Louie, paid off $120,000 in 2 years. That's $5,000 a month. That's just impossible. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't do that. And it's like, well, here's how you do it. You sacrifice, you sell dream cars, you sell everything. And then you go and work for 47 days straight, working double shifts while your wife stays home with 2 kids under the age of 2. That is crazy, but you have to be crazy to win.
Yeah. And we knew it was a short-term sacrifice, but it wasn't like this opportunity came up and we were like, yes, let's do it. We were like, oh my gosh, can we really make this sacrifice? Is our goal worth it? And we looked at it and we were like, it's a short amount of time, in the span of our lifetimes, it's a relatively short amount of time. We know like it'll feel like it's taking forever while we're in the middle of it. But once it's over, we're going to look back and be so glad that we took advantage of that opportunity. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, it has to be hard, right? If something's easy, then the opposite has to be true. So if it's easy to get into debt, and by the way, you don't even have to have a heartbeat anymore to get into debt. They're giving dogs debt and, people who've passed away are getting debt. So you can easily walk yourself into debt. We all know that. That's pretty simple. Getting out has to be tremendously hard. And so it's amazing. I think you don't pay off $120,000 in 2 years on accident. You have to be intentional. You have to sacrifice. And just for those of you listening, imagine I have 2 kids, and when they were 2 years old and infant, they're 2 years apart. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's crazy to think that you had 47 days at home without help from dad, but also you probably had a good support system by learning from your mom, being a single mom.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I knew, yeah, exactly. I knew like there are military families out there where this is just something that they deal with. There are single parents out there, that this is just something they deal with it. So in the grand scheme of things, I was like, well, it's going to suck. I'm going to miss him and, miss having the helping hands around the house, but I know I can get through it. I did. And he was, doing his part for sure. So it was really like the both of us working together toward this common goal that helped us pay off so much debt in such a short amount of time.
Absolutely. So Andrea and I, we paid off $52,000 in 7 months. And it was the same kind of thing. It was sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. I worked as much overtime. I started cleaning pools. We sold everything. I didn't know about OfferUp. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. That sounds cool. We didn't know about that, but we were hustling like crazy. And it was the same thing that you had said earlier is, you had heard other people paying off everything in 10 years. Why can't you? And that kind of goes back to, there's a quote by Bertrand Russell where he says, the best proof that something can be done is that somebody else has already done it. And I kind of live by that thinking, well, if somebody else has already done this, then why can't I do this, right?
Yeah, that's exactly true. And that's kind of like growing up. That was my mantra too. I was a good student in school growing up. And so I knew if anybody could get an A in this class, then I could too. I knew it was possible, so I could too. So that's like what pushed me to keep working hard to, achieve success and, in that level. And then I just applied it to paying off debt. And now I apply it to my business.
Okay. So we're going to get into your business because this is exciting because that's actually how we met was through your business. Tell me about your blog then, because when Andrea and I paid off our debt, I remember I created a blog. It was called the Money Peach blog. And so we created this blog, and my first post is, hey, we paid off $52,000 in debt. That was how I got started in the blogging world. So what was it like for you?
So for me, I knew when I wanted to stay home, I was interested in entrepreneurship. I wanted to have my own business. I just didn't know what at that time. And so really my goal in staying home was to give me the space and opportunity to figure out what that would look like. Once we started paying off the debt, I knew we had this story. People were blown away when we would tell, our friends and Mike's coworkers how much debt we were paying off. So they kept asking, how are you doing it? How are you doing it? And so I was like, well, that's it. I can help people get out of debt. And so that's what I wanted to do. So I decided to start a blog about it, to share our story and then also share other stories of people who've gotten out of debt, who are getting out of debt, who paid off massive amounts of debt, to show different circumstances that, you don't have to follow this path. If you don't resonate with our story, you might resonate with this other story. So to encourage other people that it is possible. So I started the blog. I started learning about the blogging world and online marketing. And I really fell in love with online marketing. So I started to do some consulting work last year in 2016. I started to do some consulting projects. I helped with a book launch, and then I did a Facebook marketing training, and then I did some Facebook ads consulting. And I realized that I really liked being on that side of things rather than promoting my own debt-free story and helping people with budgeting and that kind of thing. I liked helping people grow their businesses. So I attended FinCon, which is where you and I met. And during that time, I had this revelation. Well, I had a series of conversations with different people. I guess I went there. It wasn't intentional, but I was kind of thinking like, do I continue with the blog or do I switch my focus to talk about online marketing? And I had 4 different conversations with 4 different people, all telling me to switch. And so I came home from FinCon, and the next week I had an offer for my blog. So it just worked out perfectly. It was the right transition. And then since then, things have been amazing in growing my business. It's taken off far faster than I ever expected it to, that I ever thought it would. And it's all grown organically through word of mouth and referral. So it's been fantastic. So that tells me that I made the right decision for sure. And I'm having a lot of fun doing what I'm doing. But I still love, sharing our story, because I think that getting out of debt is one of those big goals that sometimes seems intimidating, where people, feel like it's not possible for them. And so I still love to share our story. And that helps me make wise decisions in the money that I'm bringing in for my business. And then also we're continuing to pay off. So we haven't paid off all of our debt yet. We just are down to our mortgage now. So we're still planning on paying that off by the time we turn 40, but hopefully sooner.
Okay, so yeah, we met at FinCon, and then through word of mouth, like you said, I started understanding the importance of Facebook ads. And so I'm thinking, here's my thought is I can do anything, right? I can do anything on my own. I don't need any help. And so, I'm kind of self-taught. When I started blogging, it was all self-taught until I got frustrated, and then I had to go find somebody to teach me how. And then with email marketing, it was all self-taught. And then I thought, no, I'm getting frustrated. I need somebody to teach me. So it was a couple, probably 6 months for me into trying to do Facebook ads. And I thought, okay, I got to go find somebody that knows what they're doing. And so you come extremely highly recommended, not by one people, but by multiple people. And I'm thinking, who is this girl that is, that people are telling you, like, you have to have Monica Louie help you with Facebook ads. You have to do it. So I want to talk about Facebook ads because not only do I think that, if you have a business out there, you have a business idea out there, Facebook ads have to be part of it. Even if it's a brick and mortar type business, it is a game changer in your business. And it can also be it can ruin your business if you don't know what you're doing, right? If you're just boosting posts, we'll talk about that. So let's talk about Facebook ads if you don't mind. I want to just talk about
Sure.
Let's talk about this. Let's say somebody's listening right now and they're thinking, okay, I have a business, or I'm thinking about starting a business, or I want to be an entrepreneur. Now I have one more thing to put on my plate, Facebook ads. But why is it so important?
Facebook ads are important because they can be a great addition to your strategy of getting new clients, getting new customers, selling your products, whatever it is, or even bringing people into your store if you have a local business. So because there are more than 1 billion people on Facebook every single day, if you have an ad and it's coming through their newsfeed, or it's in the desktop right column, or wherever, and it can create brand awareness. So there are different focuses, I guess, you can have with Facebook ads. You can create brand awareness. You can, if you have an online business or even a brick and mortar, you can build your email list so that you can keep in touch with people and let them know when you have promotions going on, and give consistent value to build that relationship so they become raving fans. And then you can also let them know when you've got, a special training or a challenge. Challenges are so big right now, or a webinar, and you can let more people know in a short amount of time with Facebook ads. For example, if you have a webinar that you're going to be doing, you have your email list, you have your website, you can promote it on your website, you can promote it via email, you can write a blog post about it, invite people to your webinar, but you're limited with the number of people who will see it, because that's based on organic traffic of who comes to your website, who might see it, and then also the number of people on your email list. But with Facebook ads, it's a way to quickly expand that potential audience, to let more people know about your offer or your webinar, your training, whatever it is, or even just a blog post. So it's a way with very little money that you can put towards it, but you have the potential, of reaching thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, depending on how big your budget is, and to let people learn about your message, give them the opportunity to learn about your message and build that relationship with you so that you can find more customers.
Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Are you lying in bed awake at night wondering how you're going to pay the next bill? How you're going to save for kids' college? How you're going to pay off that debt? And when are you going to take that dream vacation that you guys have been talking about forever? Well, stop worrying about it and head on over to awesomemoneycourse.com and see why students all over the world are now taking back control of their money. They're now in the driver's seat of their financial future. awesomemoneycourse.com. awesomemoneycourse.com. So a question I have with Facebook ads then, just for everybody listening out there, Monica Louie is my Facebook ads coach. So I've hired her to consult with me twice a week. I think it's been like 2 or 3 weeks now we've been meeting. She helps me with just a strategy. She helps me with everything she's taught me so far. It's stuff that I thought I knew how to do. And then she's like, we should try this. And it blows my mind, right? And I know there's still more that I need to learn. So one of the things that I hear people ask all the time, and it could be somebody that is really good on the user end of Facebook, but they just don't understand this. And I want you to explain it to them. I think I could probably explain it, but I probably would do it wrong as well. So how is it that I can look at something on, say, Amazon, right? I can just look at something on Amazon, and within 2 minutes, I scroll on Facebook and I see it in my Facebook feed?
That would be what's called retargeting. So if you go to a website or you look at a product like on Amazon, then Amazon is connected with Facebook and they're creating an audience of people who have viewed that item that you just viewed. And so they have an ad already ready to show people who have viewed that item but maybe didn't purchase that item. So that's called retargeting. So that's kind of where you feel like you're being watched. Big Brother is watching because they know your every move, but then also Facebook is tracking that data, not only for you, but all of its users. And, what are your habits? What pages are you liking? What posts are you liking, commenting on, sharing? What feeds are you clicking on? It's tracking all your data. So it knows its users really, really well. It knows, even if you don't say in your profile that, like for me, I'm a mom with young kids. Even if I don't list my kids in my profile, it still knows based on my actions and the pictures I upload and everything that I'm a mom with young kids. So if somebody is looking to promote something to a mom of young kids, say they want to help me with my meal planning, then they can search in Facebook ads for moms of preschoolers. I would fall under that category. So it's very detailed, the level of targeting that you can get into. But you can also, I start with specific areas. So you can start with United States, which is what I usually do. But if you have a local business, so say you're in the Phoenix area, if you want to target just people in the Phoenix area plus 30 miles, you can do that in Facebook. And then you can even drill down even further. So if you have like an auto shop, then you can look for people who might be interested in getting their tires changed at your auto shop. So you can get very detailed in who you're looking for.
A prime example of this is we've all seen it on Facebook when you're flying across the country and somebody checks into the airport, or somebody's leaving from this place to this place. So this happened to me personally, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So I was flying from where were we at FinCon last time? And we were just in San Diego. So I'm flying from San Diego. I land in Phoenix. And, I did one of those cheesy things where I got on my Facebook thing and I said, I just checked into Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. So there's a coffee shop literally inside the terminal. So this coffee shop must have been retargeting me or retargeting anybody that was landing or might have said they were at Sky Harbor, because all of a sudden I get a Facebook sponsored post for that coffee shop. And I don't live near the airport, right? So they're not targeting me when I'm at home. It wouldn't make sense. And I thought, wow, this is so crafty that I just landed here and now we are talking about buying coffee. This is amazing. And so you could do this with, the retargeting thing is huge. And so another thing, Monica, is there's a book that I'm going to put in the show notes here. It's called The Power of Habit. So I just finished this book and it talked about habits. It ties in kind of with Facebook. So a lot of people, I think, are a little freaked out, like Facebook knows way too much about us. And that is true. But it's not just Facebook, right? It's everybody knows too much about you. Pinterest does. Target does. So Target actually, when you use any of their devices, whether it's a credit card or a debit card, or you have the app on your phone, you walk into Target, they have sensors throughout the stores that are tracking your movements based on where you spend the most time in each aisle. So you can literally be in aisle 7 that has stuff about, that might have diapers or formula or stuff about for kids, right? Just for example. And you stay in this aisle for a little bit longer than you do the rest. And then the next week you come back and you stay in that same aisle again. Target is now collecting this data. And so I didn't realize this, but if we go open our mailboxes, not electronic, but our mailboxes, and you and I live next door to each other, the ads from Target are going to be different. I'm going to see stuff where I've been shopping, and the girl who's spending time in aisle 7 shopping for diapers is going to get ads on stuff about children. And they're so good at this with their analytics that they even can tell how far along women are in their pregnancy by their shopping habits. So if you think Facebook is doing a good job of watching you, it's everybody is doing a good job of watching you, because if they're not, they're going to go out of business because everybody else is doing it.
That's true. I read that book and I remember learning about Target and the detail that they, their campaigns and, sending you coupons for diapers when they were talking about before people even knew they were pregnant or something like that. They kind of got in trouble with that. So they had to ease off a little bit. So it wasn't as obvious that they know everything about you.
They basically, there was a story of a guy that walks into Target and he's screaming at the manager saying, you just sent a pregnancy thing to my 18-year-old girl. How dare you? You guys are out of your mind. And then he came in like a week later and apologized, saying, okay, I had a talk with my daughter and she's pregnant. So Target knew that his daughter was pregnant before he did, based on shopping patterns. So that's amazing. Yeah, Facebook ads are crazy. Is there a way, though, like if you didn't want people to follow you, is there anything that you can do if you were just, you didn't want Big Brother following you, you didn't want Facebook following you? Is there any way you can be searching or browsing through the internet at all, or is it always watching you?
There are ways that you can change your settings to let Facebook know that you don't want to see ads about these certain topics or these certain things. You can always, if something goes through your newsfeed and you are not interested and Facebook got it wrong, which doesn't happen. I think their targeting is pretty good. But if that's the case, you can click the little caret in the top right corner and say hide, or you can say, I don't want to see this. So you can kind of opt out in that sense.
When I'm looking on Facebook, now that I'm in the Facebook ads business and I'm using ads on my own business, I always am now looking at other sponsored posts. So if the post says sponsored on it, that obviously means it's an ad. And then if you click on that little caret, there's a thing that says, why am I seeing this? And I thought, okay, what does that say? And so I'm looking at one right now. I'm looking at an ad that popped up and it says, why am I seeing this? And it says, you are seeing this because this company called Live a Healthier Life wants to reach men ages 30 to 34 who live or recently were in the United States. So the cool thing is I tell my dad this. My dad's still like, I don't get Facebook ads. Like, how do they make money? And I'm like, Dad, you don't understand the amount of money people are spending. So I told somebody this the other day because it makes sense to me. Imagine you're driving down the freeway or the highway. And imagine that, there's a billboard. And imagine that billboard somehow had some kind of technology that every single person driving down the highway at high rates of speed saw a different billboard. And not only did they see a different billboard, but they saw the billboard that pertained to stuff they currently like, that they say they like, or they look at. How cool would that be? That's Facebook ads.
Exactly.
I mean, it's amazing. So I'm not mad at Facebook ads because I use them for my business, but on the user end of it, I look at it going, well, if I'm going to see advertisements, right? We see advertisements everywhere we go. I'd rather see the ones that I care about, right? I mean, that makes sense. I don't see a lot of stuff on diapers and formula on my feed because A, I don't have a baby, and B, I'm not a girl, right? So that works out good for me. And so, I'm sure I'm big on this ketogenic diet. So I see a lot of this keto stuff coming along. But if somebody's like, I don't do keto, they don't need to see or get wasted on that ad.
Exactly. And the targeting and the optimization that Facebook does with the algorithm, they've got it nailed down. They're always improving it. So even if you if you're creating a campaign and you tell it that you want to, let's do an example of you are promoting your webinar. Let's say you're in the health world and you're promoting your webinar about getting healthy. So if you target some different pages, so you can tell Facebook that you want to create an audience, including these different pages in the health world, then Facebook will auto-suggest as you're creating this audience some more pages, more interests and behaviors that might go along with the people that you're trying to target. But let's say you promoted your ad to men and women, but Facebook sees that women are really resonating with your ad more so than men. You're getting more engagement from women. They're clicking through. They're actually opting in. Then Facebook will optimize and show it to fewer men and show it to more women. So it's just very interesting. And then along age groups too, if you do like a wide age group, like 25 to 65, if you do, the Facebook sees, well, the 25 to 45-year-olds are really the ones that are engaging with this ad, it'll still try and optimize to get you the best results so it's not wasting your money. So it'll show it more to the 25 to 45-year-olds, and then it'll show it less to the 46 to 65-year-olds. So it really is always trying to work in your favor to get you the best results. So that's what I really like about it. You don't have to know everything inside and out, but there are some, you do have to be smart with your strategy. You have to have a strategy and you have to think through who you're targeting and if it's going to make sense. But Facebook will see the people, once your ad gets going, it'll see the people that are engaging with your ad and taking the actions you want them to take. And it'll try and find more people within that audience who are going to be more likely to take the action that you want them to take.
Yeah. And so, I speak to a lot of people on Facebook ads that are doing it in the blogging world and the online marketing world. And so when you get this Facebook ads thing right, it is remarkable. And I mean, just so you collect data over a while. So let's just say, for example, you have a product to sell, right? And you know that every 100 people that, that see your product, that 5 people are going to buy. And let's say it sells for $10, right? So for every 100 people that see, 5 people are going to buy, it's going to sell for $10. So for every 100 people that come by, you're going to make $50, right? This is what your data is telling you. So then okay, I just got to make sure that I'm going to put something on Facebook as far as an ad, and it needs to cost less than that. So let's just say it costs $25. So I can spend $25 on Facebook and I can make $50. And you're like, wow, I'm doing this for a while. And then, 6 months down the road, it's not, I'm spending $2,500 to make $50. I'm spending $2,500 a week to make $5,000. And then you go 6 months down the road and it could look something like I'm spending $25,000 a week to make $50,000 a week. And this sounds crazy, right? To just say this out loud, but this is what's really going on out there.
Yeah, it's true. And and likely the numbers change as you get better with understanding your audience and who's resonating with your ad and your offer. You'll get better and Facebook will get better. And so over time, you can test different audiences. You can test out different ads. So you can take that $25 to make $50 and you can turn it into $10 to make $50 and then on from there as you refine and test and tweak. So with Facebook ads, it's not a set it and forget it. At least I don't recommend that it is a set it and forget it. It's a set it and then optimize. So you start and you test and then you optimize to make it even better. And that's the exciting part. That's the part I get really excited about is when, we start with some decent conversion rates, but then how do we improve on that? And that's what I really like to dig into and figure out what are some different audiences that we can test, what are some different headlines and images and ad copy and there are multiple things that you can test and tweak and try and optimize to get your conversion rates even better.
Which is exactly why I think you need a Facebook ads coach if you're thinking about diving in, is because, just you and I in the last 3 weeks, it's been amazing how, some of the things we've cut in half as far as cost, right? We've looked at, let's say it was performing at $1 per whatever, and now it's at 50 cents. And all it's been is just small, teeny, tiny little tweaks. And so obviously I'm the one using it, so I'm super excited, but then I like how you get excited too when you're sending me a picture message through our text message saying, look at this, it dropped down even lower. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it has been fun having you help me. And so let's say that somebody's getting ready to get started, right? Somebody puts, they start a Facebook business page, which, we should all do. It's free. Start a Facebook business page. And you're going to put a post out there. And all of a sudden, Facebook's going to put a little notification in there saying, you should boost this post, because it's getting recognition. What do you recommend there?
I am not a fan of boosted posts. I know that Facebook has it as an option because it's just so easy to click the button and put some money behind it. And you can start with just a couple dollars to get some more reach. But I'm just not a fan because Facebook will optimize it for engagement, which might be what you want. But in most cases, at least on the ads that I work on, engagement is great, but it's secondary. So I want a click to the blog post, or I want someone to opt into the webinar. So I want someone to take a more specific action. So if you have that post and it's already getting great engagement, it's getting lots of likes, comments, and shares, and you want to pull in that, what we call social proof into the ad. So you don't lose that. You already see, it's got 25 likes and 3 comments or whatever. You don't want to lose that by starting over with a brand new ad. You can pull that ad that's a post on your page into the Power Editor and then put some money behind it. But then you have the flexibility to tell Facebook, okay, this is, a blog post that I promoted on my page. And so I want to drive more traffic to this blog post. So you can tell Facebook that your goal of this campaign is to drive traffic. So then Facebook will not only find people who are going to be more likely to engage with the ad, commenting and sharing and liking, but they're going to find the people who are going to be most likely to click onto the blog post. So it's just better way. It takes a little bit longer, but you have much more flexibility. You can get more detailed with who you want to show the ad to. And so that's the way that I like to do it, because people, when they think that they're starting with Facebook ads, they might boost a post here, they might boost a post there, and it seems like a lot of times there's not a real strategy. It's just the strategy is getting more eyes on my post. But I think that you have to think it through a little bit more than that. And so do you want people to click through to read your blog post? Do you want people to click through to opt into your email list? What do you want? What do you really want people to do? And then create a campaign around that objective.
Absolutely. And then one of the side benefits that I've noticed is you're getting more likes to your Facebook page just by having those posts or the sponsored posts or the ads out there. So you have an ad and your goal is to direct traffic to a blog post or direct traffic to, a product or service that you're selling or your business. And then along the way, people see it and they like it. So it's kind of it's a win-win, I think, because now you have those Facebook likes and later on you can actually retarget those people who like your brand.
It's true. So one of my clients, we've been working together for a few months now. We started working together in December. In December, he had 4,000 fans on his Facebook page. And we've been doing a consistent Facebook ad strategy, not very complicated. We're just driving traffic to his blog. We have specific blog posts that we want to promote. They are monetized blog posts. And so when we get the cost per click low enough, then we see that he's making he has, that profit margin there for the revenue he's earning from that blog post. So we've been doing this consistently, and over time, his Facebook page has grown from 4,000 in December to today in June, over 22,000. And it's just a matter of months, and it's just being consistent with this Facebook ad strategy. But it's also, it's not only grown his Facebook page, which is nice. It's nice to have more fans on your page, but he's gotten more email subscribers just from driving more traffic to his blog. And then also on his page, he's getting more organic engagement. He's getting more clicks through on the posts that he promotes on his page without even putting money behind them. His page, because these people are interested in his content, they're engaging with his posts. So his organic posts are getting more likes, more comments, more shares, more clicks. And it's just all been a result of putting some money behind these posts, growing the page, and knowing that because we've been we've been finding the people who would be interested in his page, then the fans of his page are more engaged now than they were before we started doing the Facebook ads. So it's really been a snowball effect that has spread to, affect multiple areas of his business.
Someone's listening to this right now and they're excited because they either have something online they want to do, they have a business locally, and they're starting the wheels. Let's just say we can picture them spinning in their head, because my wheels are always spinning in my head. They're thinking, okay, this sounds good. It sounds almost like if you get this down right, it's like pretend there's a Facebook machine and you're going to stick in $1 and it's going to spit out 3, right? And you stick in 10 and it spits out 30 and you're like, wait a second, right? This is what's going on out there. So people are thinking in their minds, okay, this sounds good. How much does it take to get started with Facebook ads?
Okay, so the minimum, the way it's broken down is when you're not boosting a post. When you're boosting a post, it's lower, but you can just do a couple dollars a day. But when you're creating a campaign in the Power Editor, which is what I suggest, you can also create campaigns in the Ads Manager. When you're creating a campaign, you can start with $5 a day per ad set. And per ad set, an ad set contains the schedule, the audience, the placement. So where is the ad going to show up? Is it going to show up in the newsfeed on desktop? Is it going to show up in the newsfeed on mobile? Is it going to show up on Instagram or the desktop, sidebar? Where's the ad going to show up? So the ad set contains all those places. Now, the way that I break down the ad set is I break it down by audience. So I will test different audiences by placing one audience per ad set. And with that, you can do $5 per ad set per day. So at the bare minimum, you can start with $5 per day. I like to start out testing various audiences so that I can begin to get a gauge of which audience is performing better, which audience is more engaged with this promotion. And so then from there, I start by testing audiences. I'll narrow it down. So I'll turn off the ad sets with the audiences that just aren't working as well. So I start with all the same ad. Then the next step that I do is then I will start to test the ad. I will start to, change out the image or the headline and see if we can then optimize it further to get even better results.
Yeah. And so that's exactly, for those listening, that's exactly what she's been doing for me. And the good news is she's been helping so many clients now over the last few months that she has, an arsenal of different ideas that I don't have access to. And so, there's been so many little tweaks. Just changing out. So what, if you guys have seen one of the ads I have out there right now, I had a picture of myself in an ad and I had a picture of my family. And the picture of my family did way, way better. And it was this, everything else was the same. The only thing that was different is one was a picture of my family, one was a picture of myself. And so I'm like, Monica, why do you think this is working? And she's like, the cute factor. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like you have your kids and your wife. So the cute factor works. Everything, it's the smallest little tweaks, right? If you have, the headline could be one word different and it could be half price compared to another ad.
Exactly. Wow. And it's fun. That's the fun part for me is getting to test that and help keep the costs low. Coming from, a background in finance with trying to keep, my personal budget low and trying to optimize that where we can, I'm doing the same with my clients is how can we get your costs lower so that we can get more bang for your buck? So that's what I really like to do with my clients. And it is as simple, it can be as simple as just changing a headline, changing out a picture. And it can be surprising sometimes to see what little tweak can have a dramatic effect on the entire campaign.
Yeah, it's been amazing, Monica. I'm so glad that I was recommended to you because it's been a game changer. I can already see in my business the future looks a lot different than it did just 3 weeks ago because of these strategies that we have in place and because I can see they're already working. So you said you were going to put something together for the listeners. Were you able to do that?
Yes, it's a free guide and it covers the 5 questions you must answer before spending any money on Facebook ads. So I'm going to help you get your ducks in a row. Before you spend any money on Facebook ads, you need to go through these 5 questions so that you're prepared and so you start spending money wisely on Facebook ads. So I help you think through what is your strategy going to be? What do you want your ad to look like? Who are you going to show your ad to? So I take you through that process that I do with my clients in this guide, and I break it down step by step for you. You can find that at monicalouie.com/moneypeach if you'd like to get your hands on that. It's all free.
Okay, so we'll have that in the show notes, monicalouie.com/moneypeach. And last name is Louie?
Louie.
All right, so they'll be found in the show notes. So just head on to the show notes after this episode. We'll even put a big orange button on the show notes page for you to just click on. So you don't even have to remember this or write it down. And the show notes are going to be found in the description of this episode. Monica, that's all we have time for. I would like to have you come back on again, maybe a few months down the road, because there's so much more about Facebook ads and they're always changing with Instagram ads and all these additions to it. And so I figure we could have you back on and talk a little bit in depth because I know there's people listening right now that are thinking in their minds, I don't have a business, but I'm going to start a business and I'm going to put Facebook ads behind it and I'm going to win. Get started with, especially with this free guide. It's going to be powerful. So thank you so much for putting that together.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris. This has been a lot of fun and I would love to come back.
Yeah, you're coming back. Absolutely. Oh, you know what? I have some rapid fire questions I'm going to throw at you.
Okay.
First question that I always like asking is, what is on your home screen of your phone?
So my home screen of my phone, by the time this podcast episode is live, I'm launching my website. And so it's the brand mood board. So it's got my colors and the look and feel of what I envision my website to be. I have it on my home screen of my phone just so I can make sure that it's resonating with me and that I really love it for the long term. But usually when I don't have that on my phone, usually it's a picture of my kids.
Okay, think about that. How many times do we look at our phone screens a day? So if you have a goal or you have anything that you think you should be looking at on a daily basis, put it on your home screen. Just going to be in your mind even more. Okay, so second question I have, somebody listening right now is going to read a book on something. What should they be reading? What's the book you recommend?
Okay, so I have 2 answers. So one for the money piece. The book that kind of started to change my mindset around money was, I know you've talked about this book a lot on your podcast, The Millionaire Next Door. That was what first kind of opened my eyes to spending money in a different way and saving money. And then also the fact that a lot of the millionaires that Thomas Stanley interviewed for that book are business owners. A lot of them were doctors and lawyers, which I figured, I knew that wasn't the path for me. I wasn't going to be a doctor or a lawyer, but business owner, that kind of started to open my mind to, maybe I could have my own business one day. So that one definitely must buy. Secondly, for entrepreneurs is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. He's the founder of Nike. And this one is kind of close to home because Nike was founded in Eugene, Oregon, which is where I went to school. I went to the University of Oregon. It was founded at the University of Oregon. And then he really grew Nike to what it is today in Portland, Oregon, which is where I moved to after college. And so as an Oregonian, there was a lot of references, but also, for the entrepreneur side, it just opened my mind too, because I envisioned Nike as this huge company, billions of dollars we know today. So I thought that when it started, it just kind of took off. It started and it took off and it was this big, massive success. But in that story, Phil Knight tells all the trials and tribulations and the ups and downs and how they were this close to closing the doors several times. And it really is a great story and I think inspirational for those entrepreneurs out there.
Okay, so that's new to me. A Millionaire Next Door, I love that book. Shoe Dog, I've never even heard of. So that's going to be now a book that I'll be reading. Awesome. And we both talked about The Power of Habit, which we both read apparently, which is another amazing book. Okay, last question I have for you. You can go anywhere in the world tomorrow for a week. You could take anybody you want to take with you. Where would you go?
Okay, I would go to Italy. My husband and I, when we honeymooned in Barcelona, and we knew our next big trip, we wanted to go to Italy, I think for the food and the location and the history and all of that. So definitely Italy.
Love it. All right. Thank you again, Monica. You are awesome because you are helping so many people out there. The thing is if you're going out there and you're providing value for others, you're going to have success. So I can tell you, I'll vouch for Monica. Anybody listening to this, if you need help with Facebook ads and you don't have time to do it yourself, Monica is the person I would recommend, period. So without further ado, Monica, we're going to wrap this thing up and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks so much, Chris. This was fun.
And just like that, we wrap up another amazing episode of the Money Peach podcast. All the show notes, all the links, all the things that Monica and I talked about, including her free PDF cheat sheet, can be found over at moneypeach.com/session48. That's moneypeach.com/session48. Special thanks to my producer, Steve Stewart, my assistant, Kayla Sloan. Without them, this show would not be possible. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place, with another amazing episode of the Money Peach podcast. Take care. Boom, 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 boom.